Alright, so today is going to be a video that is not like anything I've ever done on this channel before, but today I'm going to be reviewing and kind of comparing the ARTEZA 24 color gouache set. And I was contacted by ARTEZA and asked if I would be interested in receiving some products in return for doing a review. This video is not sponsored, however, so all of the opinions and everything are my own. There's nothing specific about it that I have to say. So I am going to be doing some swatches of these and then a little demo. And I've already filmed all of that, and I'll just go ahead and show you what the paints look like really quick. And these ones kind of got all flipped when I put them back in the package, so they are all squeezed because I have used them. Anyway, this set comes with 24 colors. And all of the colors are on the back. It comes with a titanium white, lemon yellow, mid yellow, yellow ochre, flesh tint, scarlet red, vermilion red, burnt sienna, crimson red, rose, peach red, Prussian blue, ultramarine blue, mauve pale, sky blue, cerulean blue, viridian green, deep green, sap green, pale green, burnt umber, noir, which is their black, gray, and then white. The titanium white is, so there are two whites in here, but the titanium white is the most opaque of the two, and the white is much more transparent, so I'm assuming this is something like a China white, or I can't think of the other word for it, but it's good for mixing. It doesn't dull down the colors quite as much as if you were mixing it with a more opaque white. I will go into more details about these paints during the swatching portion and the painting portion. So yes, I'm really excited about this video, and yeah, so if you're interested in seeing my thoughts about these paints and getting some more information on them, then go ahead and keep watching. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is do some swatches of these paints for you guys, and I'm actually just re-wetting the paints that I had put out on this plate to dry. I wanted to test them out once they were dried out because I do plan on using them from a palette, so it made more sense for me to test them this way. I'm actually going to be doing 3 separate swatches with these ARTEZA paints. I actually did 4, but this clip only has 3, and then at the end of the video I will show you the 4th one. So the first set of swatches is going to be dried straight from the tube, so I poured it straight from the tube onto the plate and let it dry. The second set is going to be mixed with honey. Now, I always knew that you could mix watercolors with honey to prevent cracking when you pour it into a palette, but I actually had never heard of anybody using it with gouache before, and actually tried to research it, but I couldn't find actually anything about it. But I'm probably just a really terrible researcher. Anyway, I decided to test it out, and since I tested this out like after I did it, I've found other people on YouTube saying that you can do it, so it worked out anyway. So like I said, the second one's going to be when they are mixed with honey, and then the third swatch set is going to be straight from the tube, like just wet, I didn't let it dry. I actually am going to be comparing this paint to 2 other brands of gouache, and I did the same exact process with those 2 brands as I did with this. It's not filmed, but I will show you the swatches at the end of the video. So I let those ones dry, and then I did a second set where I mixed it with honey as well, and then I swatched them out. So I got both of the other brands, the Reeves and the Artist Loft, at Michael's, but I believe you can get Reeves at other retailers as well. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on each of the brands, the costs, and the set sizes and everything. So the ARTEZA Gouache comes in a 24 set. This is the only set of gouache that they sell on their website. I think it's the only one that they make like at all. The cost, when you go onto their website, it says that the regular price cost is $89.97. But right now, as I'm recording this voiceover, it is $26.99. I feel like they have sales quite often. I'm not entirely sure how often they have it, but when they sent this to me, the price was at $19.99. So I would definitely keep tabs on the prices of this paint if you're interested in getting it, to try and see if you can snag it while they have it on sale, because otherwise it is quite pricey. The Reeves gouache is an 18 set. Did I say what size set? I think I said. Okay. The Reeves set is 18 colors, and regular price is $14.99, but you can use coupons on it. If you're getting it at Michael's, or probably most other art supply shops will have coupons. And the Artist Loft is a 12 set, and it is $5, which that is an everyday value. I believe you can only get Artist Loft at Michael's, and that is an everyday value, so you can't use any coupons on it, so it's just $5. Now, the sizes of the tubes, the ARTEZA is 12 milliliters or 0.4 fluid ounces. Now, I actually got a little confused because on the box, so 12 milliliters is 0.4 fluid ounces, but on their website, if you go to the actual listing of the product, it lists it as 12 milliliters and 0.74 fluid ounces. So there's a little bit of a typo, which they'll probably end up fixing quite soon here, if they see this. So it is just a little bit of a typo, but it's not a big deal. It is just 0.4 fluid ounces though. Which ends up making the ARTEZA cost at regular price, as they have it listed now, $7.50 per milliliter, and then at the current sale price, it is $2.25 per milliliter. The Reeves is 10 milliliter tubes or 0.3 fluid ounces, and their regular price without using a coupon is $1.50 per milliliter. The Artist Loft is 12 milliliter tubes, which is 0.4 fluid ounces, and that makes it 42 cents per milliliter. Now, the ARTEZA, even with the sale price, is quite a bit more expensive than the other two, but I will tell you right now that you can definitely see it in the quality. Now, I'm on my last set of swatches for this video, and now I'm going to go ahead into the demo portion. Now my sketches are quite rough. I am actually going to be turning these sketches into stickers, and I'll be showing you that at the end of this video, how they turned out and how they look in sticker form. I did want a kind of loose, sketchy feel, not only because I was just doing a quick demo, but also because I felt like it would just look really cool. So I'm doing a like 4th of July Americana theme. Now, I will tell you guys right now that that cowboy boot turned out horrendously, and I don't actually know if I'm going to include it in the sticker sheet, but we'll see. It depends on how it looks once it's actually like a sticker. But the sticker sheet that I create with these sketches is going to be available in my shop pretty soon after this video. I'll go ahead and let you guys know later on, probably through my Instagram. So I will tell you guys that when I dried these paints out, oh, sorry if you could hear my chair squeak. When I dried these paints out, these paints dried very, very, very flaky. Like they cracked and they just like blew up all over the place. Now, the Artist Loft, out of the 3 paints that I tested, I figured testing these against other paints of kind of similar price range because of the fact that it's on sale now and it was on sale when I received it. That's kind of what I'm basing it off of. I felt that testing it against other paints would be fair and kind of give me a better way to gauge the quality of this paint. I've never actually tried artist quality gouache before, and I'm not really sure if this is supposed to be artist quality gouache. The regular price tells me that that's what they intend it to be, but they don't have a different set of gouache available on their site for me to be able to know whether or not like one is supposed to be artist quality and one is supposed to be student quality. So I can't really tell you that. I feel it says Premier on the front, which I think is supposed to be student quality for their stuff, but it's kind of hard to tell because only one of their products actually has like an expert version, which is their acrylic paints. So I'm not really sure. If you know, definitely tell me in the comments down below because I am actually really curious about that. But these paints definitely cracked a lot when they dried, which is definitely not abnormal for gouache. It's not like it's all of a sudden bad. No, it's pretty normal for gouache, but that's why I wanted to test it with mixing it with honey as well to see if I could prevent that a little bit. And mixing it with honey definitely did work. There are some kind of inconsistencies in the consistency of the paint. Some of them are a little bit thicker and kind of like when you squeeze them out, they look kind of like grainy or chunky. Once you start mixing them around with some water, that definitely goes away and it doesn't affect the look of the paint. But if you're going to dry these paints in a palette, I would definitely suggest putting a little bit more honey or glycerin in those ones that are a little thicker, because when I put the same amount in each paint, no matter what the consistency was when it came out of the tube. But I would definitely suggest putting a little bit more glycerin or honey in the ones that look a little bit thicker. And the ones that looked thicker tended to be the like kind of lighter colored ones. Like the gray was a little thicker, and the titanium white was a little thicker, and I think the lemon yellow maybe was a little bit thicker. But like I said, in the end, it doesn't actually end up affecting the look of the paint, so it's not a big deal. The Artist Loft paint cracked the absolute worst out of the three. I would absolutely never put that paint in a palette unless you were mixing it with a decent amount of honey or glycerin, because oh my gosh, there was like, I think I lost like half of the paint colors after it dried, because for some reason, once they dried, they just like decided to hop into the universe and disappear off the plate. I don't even know what happened to them, but those were bad. I would say that the Arteza dried without the honey in between the Artist Loft and the Reeves. The Reeves actually dried really nicely without the honey. I would say that if you're just looking for something that's like you don't have to add anything to in order to use it in a palette, the Reeves would be good. But adding the honey did actually help the quality as well. The rewettability increased and the opacity increased after adding the honey. And I'll go ahead and show you guys more of that when I compare the swatches at the end of the video in real time. But that is something to keep in mind, even if the gouache doesn't like crack when it dries. If it's a student quality gouache, I would still probably recommend mixing it with honey or glycerin just for that reason alone. The Arteza paint, oh my gosh, when I mixed it with honey, the dried with honey version, when I went to go re-wet it, you guys, it re-wet so nicely. It was ridiculous. The version just straight out of the tube, dried without honey, re-wet pretty nicely, but it definitely re-wet so much better with the honey. And it was so nice. It was so nice to use. Like I was re-wetting them and like like rubbing my brush on them, and it was like so creamy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Because the other two definitely did not have that quality. The Arteza paints are definitely more opaque than the other two. They have less streakiness. Once they dry, they have more of like a velvety kind of like solid matte look than the other ones. Also, when I was, ooh, my cat is jumping around. When I was actually like squeezing the paints out onto the plates to let them dry, I did have issues with the Reeves and the Artist Loft, the pigments separating from the binders, which was pretty frustrating. The Artist Loft definitely was the worst out of the two, but the Reeves did do it on a few of the colors. That is one thing, well, another thing that the ARTEZA gouaches have over these other two brands is that when I poured them out onto the plate, they were not separated in any way, shape, or form. They came out of the tube very nicely, even if some of them were a little bit more, I don't want to say runny, but a little bit less thick than the other ones. They still were completely intact, which I thought was really nice and so much less frustrating than the other two. So when I sat down to actually compare all of these paints to each other, the Arteza definitely has more pros than cons compared to the other two. Now, the only thing is the price. I probably should have done a little bit more research on artist quality gouache to see how it compares to that. As not as far as like actually like purchasing the gouache and testing it out that way, but just to see how the prices compare. But $90 for this set of gouache, I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I'm not saying that it's not worth it, but if they have sales as often as I think they do, then I feel like it would probably be a little bit more worth it to keep an eye out for those. But the $27 that it's at right now, or even if it went to up to probably like, I'd say $35 to $40, I would feel very comfortable spending on these paints because I feel like they would be very well worth it still at that price point. When I was painting with them, if you're not aware, when you paint with gouache, you're supposed to do the thinnest layers towards the bottom and then get thicker and thicker as you layer up. Because it is a water-based paint, it reactivates very easily, and you have to wait for every layer to dry before you add more layers, kind of like watercolor. But one of the things you're supposed to watch out for with gouache is to make sure that as you're putting more layers on top that they have less and less water so that you don't accidentally activate the layers underneath and muddy up your colors. Now, I had no problems with that at all. And I gotta be honest, I wasn't being like super careful about doing that. I was definitely doing my thinner layers on the bottom and then building thickness as I went up, but I had no issues with my bottom layers like overly reactivating and mixing in with my top colors. So I was actually really impressed by that. And I'm just adding some like scribbly outlines to everything to kind of help it to kind of look a little bit more cohesive. I felt like it was, all the pieces were kind of just like doing their own thing and I wanted them to look like they were meant to be together. So I didn't even realize that I did this bikini. It's like a polka dot bikini. It's got yellow polka dots, and now all I can think of is the little teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini song. But as you can see, this boot is so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, I don't like how this boot turned out at all. I actually like everything else, just not this boot. Anyway, this sped up portion is getting towards the end here. Now, I know that this kind of video I've never done anything like this on my channel before, but I felt like this was such a great opportunity, and I had a lot of ideas that I felt were relevant, that I could use these products that were still relevant to the theme of my channel, which is why I decided to test these out by creating some hand painted stickers, and I'm actually really excited about these. So I think there's gonna be a cut here in a second. I actually screwed I messed up the the little bottom stripe on the shorts. There was a water drop on my brush that I didn't notice, and it fell on there and activated all of that red. So that was kind of annoying, but anyway, I am going to go ahead and get into the talk through portion now. All right, so I am going to go ahead and show you guys the swatches, side-by-side comparison of the swatches, and I'll also show you how the stickers turned out with the little paintings that I did. But before that, I wanted to go ahead and show you something that I forgot to mention in the sped up portion. And something that I do really appreciate about these paints versus the much cheaper alternatives. These ones, they're all messed up. These ones actually have a lot of information on the tubes, which the other ones don't have any of this information. The other ones have a color name, and that is it. This one has the color name, it has the light fastness score, and then it has the opacity rating, their number for the color, I believe, and then the actual pigment information. So let me go ahead and show you that real quick. So I believe that most of these, the light fastness has three little pluses. I think only a couple of them have two. And then the opacity right there, if it is a square that is fully colored in with white, that means it is supposed to be fully opaque. Let me see if I can find another one. Oh, no. Let me see. Let me see. Where are the other ones? There's one here that's... Come on, where are you? Okay, here. So, if it is fully colored in, either with white or some of them are colored in with black, depending on the color on the tube. See? But if it's fully colored in, then that means that it is supposed to be fully opaque. If it is half, then that means it is semi-transparent or semi-opaque. If it is not colored in at all, that means it is transparent. Where do these come from? I'm putting things all in the wrong, completely in the wrong spot, but it's okay. So I do really appreciate that it has all of that information on there. I find it very helpful, especially the pigment information, because if you wanted to compare these to any of the watercolors that you have, if you want to use them in conjunction with watercolors, it helps picking colors a little bit. Also, if you wanted to compare these to artist grade gouache, having the pigment information would probably be really helpful in that sense as well. So I just wanted to show you that really quick. Now let me zoom out a little bit so I can show you guys the swatches. On the first page here, I have these swatches that I did of the Reeves and the Artist Loft. Now the top is, make sure you guys can see this. The very top is the Reeves Without Honey, dried. So none of them actually turned out fully opaque. They're actually all pretty transparent, just straight from the tube with no honey. I think the most opaque one is, I think this is the burnt sienna, or burnt, is it a burnt umber or burnt sienna? Burnt umber probably. Anyway, I always get those two mixed up. I don't know why. It's not that difficult. And then this one is the Reeves with honey dried. And the colors are definitely more opaque, and they were definitely creamier. The black, you can see a pretty big difference in the black. You can see a big difference. And actually, this is the burnt sienna. This is the burnt umber. It doesn't really look like burnt umber right here to me, which is probably why I was confused, but definitely you can see a big difference in a lot of the colors and their opacity when you add the honey. Now this is the Artist Loft, so the Reeves is the one, like the mid-price one between the three. The Artist Loft is the cheapest, and they're this one I didn't have a problem with it because straight from the tube without any honey, they actually dried. They look almost exactly the same dried with honey as they do straight from the tube, which is pretty crazy. But as you can see, they're really not like very opaque when you use them dry, even with the honey. But with the Artist Loft and the Arteza, I did have this problem where, because I put it on a plate and I didn't have anything covering it, I did lose a couple colors. So that is why you see a color difference here. Some of them are missing from the swatches without honey. So the Artist Loft is actually it's pretty bad, you guys. Like, it's pretty bad. If you're going to use them like watercolors and you don't plan on them needing to be super opaque, then I guess they'd be okay for you. But if you can see here on these two colors, in the spots where the paint was applied a little thicker, less watered down, it does actually have a shiny finish, which gouache is not supposed to have at all. It's supposed to be a very velvety matte finish. You can also see it in the swatches with, especially in that red, I believe it's a crimson, very, very apparent in that one. And you can also see it in the yellow ochre a little bit. And you can see it in these two colors. But if you apply it too thickly, it does dry with a shiny finish. You kind of see it a little bit in this one too, in a couple colors where the paint was just like, it was just a little bit thicker. So that was a little strange. This color I had a big problem with, the gray for the Reeves. I think it's because when I poured it out, it was completely separated from the binder. The pigment was separated from the binder. So more binder than pigment came out, and it actually gave it a very like tacky feel. It's actually kind of still sticky because there was more binder than pigment. And I was putting the same amount of honey in all of the colors. I think that there ended up being a little bit too much honey in here just because the ratios were a little off. So it is a little bit sticky, which is kind of gross. So the next page is all of my Arteza swatches, well, my first three. I'll give you guys a little bit of a close-up. So the first one is them dried without honey, and as you can see, none of them are very opaque. The black actually did really well in this one. And I'll be honest with these, I don't think that I let them soak in water quite long enough. The other ones I did. These ones, the Reeves and the Artist Loft ones did soak in water a little bit longer than I let the Arteza ones soak. But so to be completely fair, they probably could have been a little bit more opaque, but I really don't think they would have been that much more opaque dried without honey. Dried with honey, they actually did pretty decent. This must have been like my fault, the black here, because that's an anomaly. The gray did really well with the honey in it. The burnt sienna did pretty good. The blues did really well. The blues and the purples did really well, and also the yellow ochre did pretty well. Dried with honey, they actually didn't do bad, but again, this, I didn't let it soak as long as I could have to get a little bit more of a creamy consistency. But I will tell you that these started to like re-wet instantly. Like they started to re-wet really well, but you can see the difference between using them straight out of the tube. Much more opaque than the other ones. Let me see if I can actually show them to you, like right up next to it. So there are the Artist Loft with honey next to the ARTEZA with honey, and then the Reeves with honey versus the ARTEZA with honey. And you can definitely tell that the ARTEZA is better quality. Even straight from the tube dried without any honey, they look more opaque and richer in color. And then I did do a swatch. I didn't have any black paper, but I figured, oh, this is the darkest paper I could find, so I figured this would do just fine. You can see the whites a little bit better. Again, I could have let them soak in the water a little bit longer, but I think you can get a pretty good idea. The black is very, very opaque. The black is definitely the most opaque of all the colors. The titanium white is also really nice and very opaque. And I actually really like the gray, like all the neutral colors. But you get a little bit of a sense of what these colors could look like on a darker background. And this color right here, the white, or could be, I think they just call it white, but it's like China white, or I don't remember the other one, it starts with an S, but this is meant to be more transparent, which actually I think on the tube it says it's supposed to be opaque, I think, if I'm reading that correctly, which is a little weird because it's not really supposed to be fully opaque from what I understand. So I mean, I enjoyed them. I'll go ahead and show you what the paintings look like a little bit up close. Some of the colors are a little bit streaky, but honestly most of that is my fault for being impatient. But as you can see on the ones that I did actually like let the colors kind of develop in the water a little bit as they should have, they look really nice. Like the blue in this flag is like incredible. Incredibly. What was that? I don't know. I was trying to say something and then something else came out. That was weird. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you what the stickers turned out like. I'm really happy with them. I think they look super, super cute. So let's see. I'll show you what they look like. And I feel like they just look so much better as stickers. Because they're small. You can't see all my mistakes. But I think these are super stinking cute, and I really can't wait to use these. And I'm definitely going to be using these again to make some more stickers. I think it's a really fun way to make customized stickers. And one lesson I've learned is definitely let them sit in the water long enough. I only waited like a minute. I was super impatient. You probably should let them sit in the water for probably, I think most people say 5 to 10 minutes to get the best results out of them. Definitely should have done that, but even without doing that, I still think they were really, really nice to work with. So I give these an A+. I'm very, very happy. Whoa, that was lighter than I thought. I'm very happy with this gouache set. I'm definitely going to be something that I'm going to continue to use. And I am definitely going to be getting rid of those Artist Loft gouaches because they're, as you saw from the swatches, nowhere near the quality of these. And just like, even for $5, I mean, if you are on a very, very tight budget and you want to try them, go ahead. I would say go ahead, because for $5 you can kind of get the effect, but I mean, really, if you want it to look nice in the end, I would spend the extra money and get the ARTEZA ones. If you're looking for something that's still in the like student quality price range. I'm really interested in the future to try out some artist quality gouaches if I can ever get my hands on some, and test them against these, because I think that that would be really interesting to see how they perform against artist quality ones. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was very different from my other videos, but if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I do have a link that I'm going to leave in the description box down below if you are interested in these paints, or if you find that you're interested in any of the other ARTEZA products. You can go ahead and purchase through that link and help out my channel a little bit. It is an affiliate link, so I will receive a portion of the sale from your purchase, but it does not cost you any more money than it would without using my link. So if you'd like to go ahead and help on my channel and you are interested in purchasing some ARTEZA products, I would really appreciate it if you used the link down there. I also have these ARTEZA brush pens, which I will be putting up a review for tomorrow. So if you're interested in seeing, oh, there's a lot of glare. If you're interested in seeing my thoughts and opinions on these brush pens and how they perform, then go ahead and come back tomorrow, because the video for these will be up then. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this product and what you think of this brand. If you've used them before, I'm curious to know. From what I've seen, all of their products are pretty decent, so I'm excited about it. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button to see more plannery and crafty videos, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!